Hello, I'm Simon Adebisi and welcome to highlights of the 2012 Formula Sim Racing World Championship. The final round of the championship is the Brazilian Grand Prix, taking place around the historical Interlagos circuit. This track features two contrasting sections, the faster outer section made up of the long flat-out hill climb and the long straight following the Centre S, and the slower infield section composed of much slower corners including a hairpin at turn 10. This requires a compromised setup from the teams to ensure maximum speed throughout the entire lap. Taking his 7th pole of the season, Bono Hui set the fastest time in qualifying just in front of teammate Jack Keithley, precision locking out the front row. Jeffrey Rietveld came in 3rd for GT Amiga Racing, with Patrick de Wit again achieving a strong qualifying result for 4th place. Dejan Kostadinov set a great time for 5th, beating out a slightly disappointed Ivar Kalamays in 6th. Making another one-off appearance, Mikko Pumalainen set the 7th fastest time for Faster Than Speed, just ahead of Blair Disley, the Australian making it into Q2 for only the 2nd time this season. John-Eric Saxon came in 9th position, getting both FTS cars into the top 10, and Gogo Baldi got his Netrex car into 10th place. Twister's reserve driver Kareem Vesenberg set the 11th fastest time. Ash Racing picked up 12th and 13th place with Mark Orbitz and Laurent Kaismarkas. Peter Varga qualified in 14th, and McCaw's Antonio Kolarek came in 15th place. To the race start, and all of the front runners got an equal launch. With the cars scrambling for position into turn 1 squeeze, the front runners somehow made it through cleanly with only some minor contact at the rear of the field, while Kolarek took to the grass. Winding through the Centre S, Orbitz and Varga were side by side. However, Varga wasn't given as much space as he expected, and he tripped over Orbitz, sliding off and slamming into the barriers, ending his race immediately. Down the straight, Rietveld had a great draft, but he was boxed in with nowhere to go. Kalamays had passed Kostadinov through the opening corner, and Baldi had made a great start to get up into 8th position. The Arecibo boys continued to fight each other, with Kostadinov desperately trying to retake his 5th place, holding up both Pumalainen and Baldi. Pumalainen then got a good draft on Kostadinov, and he attacked the Bulgarian into turn 4, but neither driver was able to come out in front, and the pair drove side by side through turn 5. Coming up the hill and into the tricky turn 6, the pair remained side by side all the way, with Kostadinov just defending his place from the outside lane. Into Pinarino, Pumalainen couldn't quite get in front, and just as it looked like Kostadinov had done enough to hold on, Pumalainen sealed the deal through the hairpin, moving up into 6th place. In the race lead, both of the precision drivers were pulling out ahead, with Rietveld unable to keep up. Kostadinov took a stab at Pumalainen, braking late and running wide, while Pumalainen simply turned in late to maintain his position. Further behind, Rasmus Tali had made an impressive start from the rear of the grid, getting all the way up into 12th after just 3 laps, and he was handed 11th place after Ville Lepela made an uncharacteristic mistake running wide through turn 4 and dropping back down into 15th, just behind Peter Burlak, another driver who had made a good start from the back. The overtaking continued, with Tali making an easy pass on Disley for 10th, while Kostadinov made another attempt on Pumalainen, but this time the Arecibo driver stuck the move, retaking 6th place. Disley was then attacked again, this time from Laurent Kaismarkas, but as the pair made slight contact into the Centre S, both Lepela and Burlak were caught out by the slowing Disley, allowing Philip Pushka to get by, moving up into 12th. Burlak was then caught and passed by Uros Musculi into the opening corner, and on the following lap, Burlak missed his braking point, hitting the back of Musculi and losing his front wing as a result. In the battle for 6th, Mikko Pumalainen was still desperately searching for a way back around Kostadinov, but after the Finn had a small lock-up into turn 4, he had his mirrors full of Gogo Baldi's Netrex car. Baldi had a look into turn 7 and then made a very bold attempt into the hairpin, but Pumalainen turned in late, maintaining his place. However, along the main straight, Baldi used a strong draft, moving over to the inside and passing the Finn for 7th position. Just behind, John-Eric Saxon was coming under pressure from Tali, and he lost his 8th position after locking up into turn 8, with Tali continuing his impressive charge. Way out in the race lead, the precision drivers then pitted together, with both Bono Huis and Jack Keithley the only drivers running a 4-stop strategy, while the rest of the field was 3-stopping. In a virtual 4th position, Patrick de Wit was driving a very strong pace, but the Macor driver was slowly but surely being caught by Ivar Kalamays, and on lap 15 the Estonian pulled off an aggressive pass to take over 4th place. The pit stops then began for the 4 stoppers, and while most had no problems, both Rasmus Tali and Dejan Kostatinov had very slow stops, losing multiple positions. Tali now down into 13th, and Kostatinov dropping from 6th to 11th. But Kostatinov was in no way discouraged, the Bulgarian not taking long to catch and attack Ville Lepala into turn 4. Lepala defended as best he could, but the Go Speed driver couldn't hold the outside line through turn 6, advancing Kostatinov back up into 10th. With Weiss and Keithley easily in the race lead, third place Jeffrey Rietveld was in no man's land with large gaps both in front and behind. Calamaze remained in 4th, however in the second stint it was Patrick de Wit who appeared to be faster, and although he couldn't get close enough to make a serious passing attempt, he was keeping Calamaze very honest, putting the Estonian under plenty of pressure. Meanwhile, Puumalainen had re-fired the battle for 6th, the fit attacking Gergo Baldi multiple times in the second stint, and while he was able to get alongside on several occasions, he couldn't complete the move, with Baldi doing a great job of defending his place. Sadly, it all came to crying when into the opening corner, Puumalainen miscued his braking point and he ran into Baldi's side, bumping the Hungarian off the track. With 5th place in the Constructors still undecided, the Netrex driver was desperate to avoid a DNF, and using the steep hill, Baldi was able to restart his engine, though he had dropped all the way down to 14th. Puumalainen had obligingly slowed up in order to wait for Baldi, but having already given up 2 positions and being unaware if Baldi had retired, the Finn pushed on, now down in 9th. Dejan Kostatinov then continued his recovery, making an easy pass on Filip Puška for 7th place, and further up ahead, Jack Keithley's second of 4 stops gave the Briton some traffic woes, the precision driver having to fight hard to find his way around a determined Patrick de Wit. Even once ahead, de Wit continued to attack Keithley, but he couldn't keep up, and Keithley then quickly passed Ivar Calamaze to get into some clean air. The second set of stops for the 3 stoppers resulted in more changes to the order. Filip Puška's day got worse as he broke the pit speed limit and was handed a drive-through penalty. And meanwhile, Ivar Calamaze had a disastrous outlap, accidentally selecting first gear, spinning the car and stalling the engine. Luckily, he managed to get it restarted, but he had lost 4th place to Patrick de Wit. As the race went on, it became obvious that precision strategy had worked nicely. Bono Weiss maintained 1st place even through his last stop, and Jack Keithley was in no doubt for 2nd position. Now in 7th, Kostatinov was slowly but surely catching Jon-Erik Saxon, and soon he was all over the rear of the faster-than-speed car, Kostatinov clearly with a faster pace. Saxon pitted for his last stop, and Kostatinov put the clear air to good use, setting a couple of very quick laps and comfortably leaping ahead of Saxon for 6th position. Further behind, Rasmus Tali was also recovering after his disastrous first stop, and he was now up into 10th place. However, with just 5 laps to go, the GT Amiga driver got too greedy with the curves and he touched the grass, pulling his car off the track where Tali stalled his engine. Finishing his World Championship winning season in the grandest of styles, Bono Weiss topped off the perfect weekend with pole position, the fastest lap, taking his 33rd career victory with yet another dominating performance. Jack Keithley crossed the line 9 seconds later, the Briton also having a fantastic Grand Prix to claim 2nd place. And rounding off the podium, Jeffrey Rietveld came home for 3rd, the GT Amiga driver finishing off another very impressive, albeit lonely race. Patrick de Wit drove a solid Grand Prix to claim 4th, the Dutch veteran crucially scoring enough points to maintain his position in the overall standings. A slightly disappointed Ivar Calamaze finished a strong drive to claim 5th place ahead of Dejan Kostatinov, who drove an amazing recovery following his slow opening stop. Jon-Erik Saxon came home in 7th with his typical consistent drive, just ahead of fellow teammate and countryman Mikko Puumalainen in 8th. Ville Lepala achieved 9th place after starting from the rear of the grid, and Laurent Kaesmakers finished in 10th place for Ash Racing. So taking a look at the final 2012 driver standings, and it was to little surprise that the season was dominated once again by the Dutch teenager Bono Weiss, the 18-year-old taking his 3rd World Championship in a row. He was, however, given a run for his money with the incredible and popular performance of Morgan Morand, the Frenchman demonstrating a serious threat to the defending champion. However, Morand would ultimately have to settle for 2nd place. Despite only joining the championship in round 6, Jeffrey Rietveld showed his ability at the top level, coming home for an easy 3rd place. Rasmus Tali had a mixed season with his new team, but the Estonian nonetheless finished in 4th position. Gergo Baldi was a big surprise, the newcomer to FSR sealing 5th place. Patrick de Wit enjoyed his best season since 2008, one of the most experienced FSR competitors, achieving a fantastic 6th position. Jack Keithley did an amazing job as Precision's reserve driver, claiming 7th, just ahead of Ivar Calamays, who only competed in 5 rounds but still achieved 8th position overall. John-Eric Saxon showed decent consistency, getting himself inside the top 10, and Yannick Lapchan enjoyed a mixed season, ultimately finishing in an impressive 10th place. Looking at the 2012 Constructors Championship, and once again for the 3rd year in a row, the season was comfortably won by Precision Motorsports, the German outfit being the only team to score in each round of the 2012 season. In 2nd place, GT Amiga Racing was somewhat of a surprise, especially given the team's difficult start to the year, but perseverance ultimately granted the team the silver trophy. And finishing in 3rd place, Go Speed Racing had their best season since the glory days of 2008, the Portuguese team closing the season in a fantastic 3rd place. ATR had a season plagued by negative publicity and serious managerial issues, resulting in a disappointing 4th position. Netrex Grand Prix had a season to be proud of, fielding 2 drivers with no previous experience in FSR. The Italian team finished in a highly impressive 5th. So that concludes the 2012 World Championship. You can visit the FSR website by going to www.formula-simracing.net. Check us out on both Facebook and on Twitter, as well as visit the forum at Race Department for details and discussion on the upcoming 2013 season. We hope you've enjoyed this season's highlights. I'm Simon Adebisi, and join us next year for the 2013 Formula Sim Racing World Championship.